American History TV, U.S. Military Academy graduate Richard Cole talks about his experiences as a West Point cadet and his Vietnam War service, including his second tour of duty in 1973 during the American withdrawal. He was awarded 3 Silver Stars for his actions in Vietnam. The interview is held by the West Point Center for Oral History and is about 70 minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here in the West Point Center for Oral History. Today is the 20th of June, 2017, and I'm here with Richard B. Cole, who goes by Dick, class of 1963. Welcome back, sir. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Sir, will you please spell your last name for the transcriber?
Cole, C-O-L-E.
Thank you, sir. What are you here in town for? Could you tell me a little bit about that?
For a funeral of a classmate.
Right.
Classmate is Art Ryan.
Right, and we interviewed him.
Yes, you did.
Fortunately.
Mm-hmm.
We're sorry to hear about his passing, but we're glad to see all y'all here in town. Now, sir, tell me a little bit about your childhood. Where did you grow up and when were you born?
I was born in 1939 and grew up in the mountains of North Georgia, right where Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina come together.
Okay. Is that fairly close to Chattanooga?
Well, it is southwest of Chattanooga.
Okay.
I think west. No, I guess it's east.
Okay. All right. So, what did your parents do?
My daddy was a dam engineer. He was a civil engineer who built dams. And my mother was a school teacher.
Okay. And siblings? Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have an older brother, 2 years older than me, an older sister, 3 years older than me. So I was an oops.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up for you.
Well, in a little 7-acre farm up in the mountains. Very rural, very poor, but it was a big bootlegging county, and my best friend nearby had a lot more money than we did, and I told Dad, I said, hey, the Wilsons have a lot more money than we do, why don't you get a still? He said, I would, but your mother won't let me. So,
okay.
So then, well, a little ceased grade high school, rode school bus for 25 miles twice a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So
25 miles.
It was pretty remote. Yeah.
Wow, that must have taken, what, nearly an hour or so to get to school?
Yeah, right.
Okay. And was it the same school your mom taught at? Or did she teach?
No, she taught at the local grammar school.
Okay.
And so she taught me first through the 3rd grades. And then I moved on to the next school, and she quit teaching. Her health was very poor. In fact, when I was born, she was told that she would never get out of bed again.
Wow.
Beauty of it is, when she died at age 92,
wow,
she was walking half a mile 2 days a week.
Well, that's wonderful. Okay. And your dad was an engineer then?
Yes, he was a civil engineer from Georgia Tech.
Where did he go? Oh, Georgia Tech?
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, was there any military tradition in your family?
No, not at all.
Okay. So what were your interests as a young boy?
Oh, hunt, fish. Took school seriously because I knew it was important. And enjoyed farming. Had a pet cow.
Okay. All right.
So,
did you have a lot of animals on your farm?
we had, I think, a little over a dozen cows and a couple of pigs and and a chicken house. Yeah.
Okay.
Got a big chicken house, and that really helped our income.
Sure.
Chicken eggs.
So you'd sell the eggs?
Yes, yes, yes. And we had roosters, so we sold fertilized eggs, which bring a better price than regular eggs.
Okay. All right.
But funny thing, In the chicken house. You don't want all this, but anyway, I'll finish the story.
This is interesting because this is American history right here.
Yeah. This chicken house had nests down along the side, and Daddy built a little trolley where you put the chicken egg basket here, and you just push it down and get you in and get the eggs out. And every once in a while you think, oh, what the heck is that? Raise up, be a big old king snake eating the egg.
Oh, wow.
So you have to get him out and take him away, because you can't kill a king snake.
Okay.
They're good snakes.
Okay, because they eat vermin and.
Well, yeah, and they'll kill other snakes. They'll kill a rattlesnake.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
So that was sort of neat.
Okay. So you remember the first time you reached in and grabbed a snake?
I can't necessarily know the first time.
All right.
It just got to be sort of old hat.
Yeah. And that's nice that you had all sorts of animals there on the farm. I imagine that taught responsibility at a young age.
Yes, I had to milk the cow every morning before going to school.
So what time did you have to leave for school?
Boy, I don't remember.
Because you must have had to get up early to milk the cows.
Yeah. Probably left the house around 7, because then you had to walk about a half a mile to catch the school bus to take you to school. So.
Wow.
That was okay.
Did you play any sports?
As a senior in high school, the first time our little high school got football, so I played football senior in high school.
What position did you play?
I was a blocking back.
Okay.
We ran the single wing.
Okay.
And it was fun.
All right. How did you hear about West Point?
I guess I saw it on the long gray line on television. I'm pretty sure that's my first introduction to it. And I was impressed. And Daddy told me and my brother, if either one of us were interested in going to West Point, he thought he could get us an appointment. My brother wasn't interested at all. Daddy didn't have enough money to send me to a regular college, so I thought, gee, yeah, I'll go to West Point. It'll be free.
Okay. Where did your brother end up going?
Well, he flunked out at Georgia Tech, but then he flew airplanes for Delta until he turned 60. And during that time, he went to Georgia State and got a bachelor's of business administration or something like that.
Okay. How about your sister?
She got her master's in fine art from the University of Georgia and loved to do it, but never really made any, didn't really do anything, didn't make any money at it. But she got married, as I think 3 fine young boys.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so you showed up to West Point, and you must have showed up in 1959?
Yes, right.
And what is your most vivid memory of your first day at the academy, our day?
It's all sort of hazy. I guess getting screamed at, I wasn't expecting that. But
okay.
If that's what happens, well, that's what happens. So.
And how was your summer training that year?
It was very, very good and very, very demanding. And I wasn't expecting it either, but it was, I appreciated it. I really did.
What was your favorite part of the training?
Gee. Not the running. I guess the shooting. Yeah, I grew up hunting, so I was a pretty good shot, and I enjoyed the rifle and the pistol.
Now, did you shoot M14s?
Yes, they were M
or M1s?
I think they were M1s.
Okay,
as I remember. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, they were M1s.
So you're shooting still World War II era rifles,
right?
Okay,
yeah,
with the 8 round clip that you push in.
Yeah,
excellent.
Neat.
Okay, tell me a little bit about what it was like once the academic year started.
It was demanding, but it was enjoyable. Now, I went to college for 2 years before I went to West Point.
Okay. Where'd you go?
Went to Young Harris College for a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little Methodist junior college. And North Georgia College for a year. And North Georgia College is a fine college.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Right.
And went to Young Harris because Daddy told us kids we'd go anywhere we wanted to as long as we went to Young Harris. Then I told him I wanted to go to West Point. He said, well, we better send you to North Georgia and get you squared away a little bit.
Okay. So what did North Georgia help you with respect to when you came to West Point?
All the military discipline, the marching. North Georgia was one of the 5 military colleges. You know, BMI, Citadel, Penn, I've forgotten what the others were.
Okay.
And it was the only one that's co-ed.
Okay. All right. Was it co-ed back then too?
It was co-ed back then.
Okay. So how was that?
Oh, well, that was good. It's nice to have some girls on campus. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was good.
Okay. So you were prepared for the marching and and some of the military stuff.
Right.
And you felt pretty prepared academically, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Right.
What were your favorite classes at West Point?
Math and chemistry, and I guess mechanics. My worst class, of course, was Spanish. Mm-hmm. I have no knack for foreign language.
Okay. All right. And physically, how was it here at West Point for you?
It was fine. I was in good shape, and it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And militarily, how about some of your summer training over some of the different years? What sort of training did y'all do?
Count Buckner was the best, and that was field training as well as physical training. I learned a lot at Count Buckner. Got the feel for, gee, so this is what a patrol is, so this is how you do stuff.
So do you feel that West Point prepared you adequately for when you got into the Army and went to the basic course and to Ranger School and things like that?
Absolutely, yes, okay. Right.
All right. So as you went through West Point, it became time to choose a branch. What were you interested in and why?
Armor for the first couple of years, because it seemed, that's a combat arm and looked pretty exciting to me. And then I figured, well, there's no place for armor in Vietnam, so I'm going to go infantry.
Okay. And was Vietnam starting to?
It was getting started.
To get ramped up?
Yeah.
What were you hearing about Vietnam as a cadet?
Not much, other than, hey, the communists were invading the place, and we were trying to protect them and save them and stuff, and we were there for a noble cause. So, okay, that's what let's do.
Okay. How was graduation for you?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Were your folks able to come up?
My dad was.
Okay.
And that was neat.
Okay. What do you think about it? When was the first time your dad came up to see West Point? Was it graduation?
Graduation, yeah.
What do you think of the place?
Oh, he was impressed. But he doesn't say a whole lot about being impressed, but he was.
Okay. All right. And so after graduation, tell me about some of the courses you had before you got out to your unit.
Well, did the basic course and jump school and Ranger, and I guess that was it. And then got to the 82nd, which was great.
Who were you with in the 82nd? 325, right?
Yes, 1st Battalion, 325.
What company?
A Company, Alpha Company.
Okay. And you arrived in time for the Dominican Republic.
Yes, right.
Tell me a little bit about that. That's something that not a whole lot of folks know about.
Yeah, that was excellent. And I had my second company commander then. My first one was a West Point graduate, and he moved on, and now this guy was a North Georgia graduate.
Had you known him at North Georgia, or was he
Yes,
too
I
many
had.
years? Okay.
Yeah, he was class of '59.
Okay.
Yeah, a neat guy. Anyway, we got in town, unopposed landing, went in by airplane, C-130s, and he told me, okay, take your platoon and go down these 2 blocks to that road, to that street intersection, and set up a blocking position. I said, okay, good. So I put half the platoon on this sidewalk and told them look forward and left, half the platoon on this sidewalk, look forward and right, and I'll just go down the middle. And I did. First time I got shot at, no damage done, but I was surprised at what incoming rifle fire sounded like. Very sharp crack, crack. And it was, but everybody shot a little bit and went on down. Settled without incident. Set up. Figured, okay, I'd go up on the second floor, and I hope you're going to edit this stuff. And went in this room of this little hotel, and immediately it was obvious that it was a brothel. So that's the only time I spent the night in a whorehouse.
Okay. Was it a good vantage point?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
and all
good.
the girls are gone. There was nobody there.
Okay.
So, yes, it was a good vantage point.
Okay. What were we doing in the Dominican Republic anyway?
Somebody was trying to overthrow the government, as I understand it. I don't remember the names and stuff, but somebody that we thought was communist was trying to turn it into another Haiti.
Okay.
And we went down to stop it, and I think we did.
Okay. And you must have been rigged to jump, right? Or did you know that you were going to do an air landing?
We knew we were doing an air landing.
Okay, from the get-go.
Yeah.
All right. So aside from the sporadic fire that you took walking down the street, was there any other firing at you during the time you were there?
No.
How long were you all?
I was there 2 months.
Okay.
And one of those, during that time, was able to go to a beautiful beach on the Dominican Republic. I didn't know it had such a beautiful beach, but it did.
Okay.
And then from there went to Vietnam.
Okay. What did you do for the 2 months that you were in the Dominican Republic? Did you do patrols, or was it just security?
I guess it was all just security because it was all in town.
Okay. Did you draw any lessons from your time in the Dominican Republic that helped you when you got to Vietnam?
Just what incoming rifle fire sounds like. That was that's something good to know.
Sure. So that when you hear it again and it's more powerful, then it's you're not as surprised, right?
Yes, right.
Okay.
Right.
So your first time in Vietnam was from 65 to 67. Who did you serve with at that time?
For the first year, I was with the Vietnamese Airborne, and we were 8th Battalion based in Saigon, and we traveled all over the country except 4th Corps, never met the 4th Corps.
Okay.
The 8th Vietnamese Battalion was finest troops I've ever served with.
Okay.
They really were. In fact, they, on one particular operation, they got the American Presidential Unit Citation.
Wow. Okay. What made them the finest troops you ever served with?
Well, to give you an example, on this particular operation, we were, our battalion only had about 350 men in it, and we were always a little standby. So the whole 1st Arvin Regiment tried to attack, supported with tanks and armored personnel carriers, stopped, turned, and ran.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever see a whole frapping division run, it is just awesome. And our little battalion commander said, we go, we go. And we did. And went through where those guys had turned and ran and assaulted and took, and we were, and that was good.
Okay.
And the little company commander that I usually traveled with was a super, super guy. In fact, he came back to go to the infantry advanced course when my parents lived in Marietta, Georgia. And he spent the weekend with them.
Nice.
Yeah. They thought he was great. He thought they were great.
Did he get a lot of good Georgia home cooking?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, and he really enjoyed that.
That's good.
And in this assault, we were really bogged down getting into the village for a few minutes, and I saw he pulled out his little Derringer pistol.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, crap, he's going to start shooting his troops. I can't let this happen. So I jumped up and ran over here and said, okay, I'll go over here on this side of the little rice paddy. And as I was going up, saw a Molotov cocktail hit the mud in front of me. I threw sideways, don't want to fall on that. It went off. I remember sailing through the air. And when I woke up, they were next to me and doing very well. So I got up and trotted over to him, and he looked up. Oh, I thought you were dead. No, not yet. And that was good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of training did you do with the Vietnamese soldiers?
Actually, I didn't do any training with them. I just worked with them on operations, and my biggest job was to coordinate air support. We never had artillery, always out of artillery range, so working with the FAC for air support.
Okay. How responsive was the air support?
Very, very, very good. It was excellent.
Okay, and what would you usually call for? Did you call for a particular type of air support, or just whatever was up there?
Just whatever was available,
Mm-hmm.
and ordinarily nothing bigger than a 250-pound bomb, because that's uncomfortable. But strafing and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes rockets.
Okay.
And sort of a neat thing, we also have a place down on the beach in eastern North Carolina. And there's a little golf course there. I got to know the pro and play there some when we're down there in the wintertime. An interesting thing, we got to telling lies and war stories one day. And I knew that he was a Navy A6 driver.
Mm-hmm.
And we started telling really details and identified 3 different times when I was stomping through the jungles. He was helping me out in his A6.
That's pretty neat.
That is fantastic. It really is.
Mm-hmm. And so you'd call them in, and they'd come in and help you out, huh?
Yeah. We always had a FAC with us, so the FAC
Right.
would control the airplanes. But.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So was it mostly jets, or did you have helicopters come in as well?
Had helicopters some. What I really liked was the big old A1E prop, because that thing would come in real slow and real accurate. And if it got hit a couple of times, they didn't care.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have the opportunity to jump with the Vietnamese?
Yes, I did.
Okay. How was that?
That was excellent. In fact, I got in the country, and a week later, we had our little combat jump up at Bencat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unopposed, which was good. But very, very high trees on the LZ. And we had a couple of the Vietnamese got caught up in the trees, dropped down their climbing rope. You always carried a climbing rope in case you landed in a tree. Slid down as far as they could, and then turned loose and broke a leg or broke a back.
Ooh.
So they were way up there.
Yeah, that is high, tall trees.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any other operations while you were working with the 8th Battalion that stand out to you?
Well, we used to go to Duco a lot. Duco was a special forces camp. And we always ran into stuff there. Mm-hmm. And one night, we always had a Vietnamese doctor with us. He went to my boss and said, we've got to medevac Lieutenant Cole, and we've got to do it tonight. Well, I had malaria, mm-hmm. and I didn't realize how bad it was. But a helicopter came in the middle of the night, took me out, took me to the hospital there in Saigon. My fever was 104.5.
Whoa.
And they immediately stripped me off, put me in a bathtub full of ice water. And this is real ice water because a bunch of ice cubes are floating around in it. And in a little while, a nurse came in and said, okay, fever's broke, let's get you out, dry it off, and put to bed. I said, okay, good. So I got up and looked down at myself, and you're going to have to edit this. And there was nothing there. I said, my Lord, you've turned me into a woman. And she said, don't worry, it'll come back when you warm up. So, you know, things like that you remember.
Sure. So you broke your fever?
Yes.
Okay. And did you get back to the Vietnamese, or when did you switch to a different unit?
Yeah, I went back. I was in the hospital about 4 or 5 days, and a couple of the captains there that liked. One was Chuck Toffatoy, who has written a book and who, I think he's class of 60, 61, something like that. Anyway, he and another guy brought me a bottle of Rosé Mateus, but they didn't bring a bottle opener. So there we are out on the deck veranda of the hospital. Couldn't, said, well, if you can't pull the cork out, maybe you can push it in. So found a jack handle, let in, started pushing, and the bottle just exploded. And so there the place is covered with wine and broken glass, and this female nurse major comes around the corner. What the hell is going on here? Those two captains just disappeared. She said, Lieutenant, you get back to your bed and I'll decide whether you need an ice water enema. I thought, oh shit. So I ran back to bed, covered up, started snoring a little bit. A couple of minutes later, heard the door open, and it closed. Nothing more was ever said. And so there for about a week, like I said, and then went back to the battalion and stayed to the end of the year.
Okay. How many American officers were with you in the battalion?
Let me see. We had, in the battalion, there was only 2 officers and an NCO.
Okay.
For each battalion.
Okay.
Captain, lieutenant, and usually a sergeant first class.
Okay. So it was the 3 of you for the 8th Battalion.
Yes. Right.
Okay. And did you have an interpreter, or did you speak French with the Vietnamese, or did they speak enough English?
I could speak a little bit of Vietnamese because we went to the MATA course before going over to little Vietnamese. I could speak a little bit. Some of the officers could speak good English. You know, the one I told you about that went to the advanced course spoke excellent English. So I could speak no French. My boss could speak no French, and our battalion commander spoke good French because he was with the French before North Vietnam fell.
Right.
And he refused to speak English, so I'm not sure how they communicated.
Okay. All right.
It was neat.
You mentioned the A6 pilot. And
Yes, right.
tell me one of the times that he was the one that came to your aid.
This is when we were, near the coast, because he was Air Force, of course, and in jungles and needed help. And it wasn't Ban Me Tut, it's another town. I can't remember the coastal town we were near, probably Hue, something like that. And just see him come in and boom and say, hey, that was great. That was great. Come a little closer. And FAC would bring him in, and he would just super.
You said you got all up and down the country except for 4th Corps,
Yes.
which was the one down south,
Yeah.
right? What was your favorite area to operate in, or least favorite?
I guess my favorite was 1st Corps, up real close to the DMZ.
Why is that?
Hue and the terrain was good, the weather was good, and it was sort of exciting being right near the border. Down in further south, over near the Cambodian border, I didn't like that, mainly because we kept having to go back over and over and over again. So,
Okay. So that must have been the year of 65 then, for you.
yes, 65, 66.
Okay. And then from 66 to 67, you were with an American unit.
Yes.
Right? Which one?
25th Division, 1st Wolfhounds, that'd be 1st of the 27th Alpha Company.
And by this time you were a company commander, correct?
Yes, right. Yeah, and what happened there was one of the senior advisors in the battalion, in the Vietnamese Airborne, was selected to command a battalion as a major. And I said, hey, sir, if you give me a company, I'll extend. So he said, okay. So he gave me a company, and I extended.
Okay.
And 2 of us did, actually. No, the other one didn't extend, but the other classmate that was a company commander, Fred Henderson. Neat guy, but he got killed. He got killed in the operation where Bob Foley got his Medal of Honor.
Okay. So he must have been the Charlie company commander then.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and his RTO got a Silver Star.
I believe
that.
he did. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So when you arrived as a new company commander, you'd already had a year of experience in Vietnam.
Right.
What did your soldiers think about that?
I think they thought it was a good idea. I'm still in contact with a couple of squad leaders, and that company had experienced had a very bad experience in July, before I got there in September or August. I took very, very heavy casualties. Company commander was relieved. And one thing that just second nature, you're always with the company. If the company's on the ground, you're on the ground. You don't fly around in helicopters and crap like that. You lead on the ground. And that was recognized and appreciated. And that became a real fine company. It really was.
Okay. So where were you stationed?
At Cu Chi. Cu Chi is just outside of Saigon.
That's
where the tunnels are.
right, the Iron Triangle.
No, the Iron Triangle is a little north,
Okay.
as I remember. Yeah, and it might be part of the Iron Triangle. I'm really not sure.
Okay. And so what sort of operations did you...
Air assault, and then after you make the air assault, then you try to attack and go on in deeper and, see what you can find and roust it out and do.
And you ran into a lot of contact, didn't you?
A good bit, yeah, we did.
Okay. All right. Did you receive all 3 Silver Stars with this unit?
No, I have Silver Star with Vietnamese,
Okay.
and then 2 as a company commander.
Okay. Do you want to tell me about the one with the Vietnamese?
Yes, that was the operation where we saw a whole division turn and run.
Okay.
And they went in and did good.
All right. So is that the one that where you got blown up by the Molotov cocktail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And in getting there, right at the edge of the village, I felt like a wasp sting high on the inside of my left thigh. And after things settled down, I looked, said, sure enough, yeah, there's a little hole in my pants and a little bloody hole. We had an American doctor then, got him to check. He said, oh yeah, drop your drawer, yeah, we can fix that. That's a hand grenade fragment. We can fix that with Band-Aid and iodine and a Purple Heart. And I said, come on, Doc, that's just a scratch, that's not a Purple Heart. He said, well, if that fragment had been 1/4 of an inch to the right, you'd be singing soprano instead of bass in your church choir. I said, well, okay. I guess I'll take a Purple Heart for that.
Wow. Okay. So that was the first experience. All right. Well, tell me about your next Silver Star.
Okay, that was in the operation where Fred Kennerson was killed and
Right.
Bob Foley attacked through us and got to the little company the Bravo company that we were trying to get to, and we just couldn't get through it because the Vietnamese NVA were counterattacking as well as just staying.
Right. And it was a very large North Vietnamese unit, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Is it a whole battalion or more?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
But Bob was able to go up a little bit on the right flank and stay on the high ground and make it up where we were sort of caught down in the valley. We couldn't do anything.
Okay. And your company was trying to reinforce Charlie Company, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we had actually picked up what was left of Charlie Company. And what was left of Charlie Company, I made my 4th platoon. And so then we had picked them up and we're trying to get on up to Bravo Company that's way on up here.
Okay. So how'd the operation start? So Bravo Company got in trouble.
Yeah, and I don't know how Bravo Company got to where they were. The battalion commander never told me enough about the overall operation for me to really understand it.
Right.
And I should have pushed him about it, I guess, but I didn't.
Okay, so Bravo Company's in trouble and Charlie Company tried to come to their aid.
Yes, right.
And then Charlie Company got chewed up.
Right.
And was Fred Henderson still alive at this time?
No, I'm sure he was not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then your company came in.
They called in.
And so you picked up the pieces of Charlie Company and continued the attack.
Right. Right.
Okay. And then what company did Bob Foley have?
He had Alpha Company of the 2nd of the 27th. We were with the 1st of the 27th.
Okay. And he came in on your flank?
Actually, he came up right behind us.
Behind you? And then worked around to the high ground?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so tell me about your actions during that battle.
Um, well, one of the biggest lessons I ever learned was as we were going up and we were stopped and had these high trees. Mm-hmm. And you could see, hey, they were snipers up in those trees as well as people down on the ground. So I looked and I thought, hey, I'll be damned. This is just like shooting squirrels at home. So I'm laying down here propped up on my elbows, had a couple of good shots, and then a bullet hit right under my elbow. Hit my elbow, didn't hurt me, but it knocked my elbow out from under me, and I went down flat on my face and looked up with sort of a sheepish grin on my face at the first sergeant who was standing by a tree next to me. Big guy, super guy, Popoitis. He reached down, grabbed me by the collar, jerked me up to the tree. He said, "Captain, the men will fight the VC. Your job is to fight the company. Now do your damn job." Mm-hmm. So I never fired my rifle again for the next 30 hours.
Okay. The next 30 hours. So it was a long...
It was a long, yeah.
So what else happened during that engagement?
Well, just holding things and letting Bob get up and get Bravo Company and pull them back, and then us pull back without, turning our backs and running. We just had to pull out, so they mm-hmm. pulled us out. And this is something that always bothered me. We pulled out. When we got out, the rice paddy area is just full of U.S. 1st Infantry Division people. So we were evacuated by helicopter, and all these 1st Infantry Division people supposed to go in and take care of it. The next day, my battalion commander told me to go up there and brief the battalion commander and anyone else that would listen to me. So I did. Nobody was interested in talking to me, so fine. The people were still out on the rice paddy area, mm-hmm. and I guess I saw 2 sorties of fighter assault into the woods. I don't know when or if anybody ever actually went in there and cleaned that area out.
Right.
That's sort of, damn it.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a whole bunch of them in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was the biggest challenge during that fight for you?
Keeping the platoons from getting panicky.
Okay.
And they didn't. They handed in there good. One of them really got upset. We're getting bonsai attack. But just stay calm and firm with them, mm-hmm. and they do good.
How were your platoon leaders and platoon sergeants?
They were good. My best platoon's leader was actually a Sergeant E7, mm-hmm. Sergeant Rodriguez. Super guy. And then I had 2 lieutenant platoon leaders. They were both good, and one of them a little bit excitable, the other one very, very calm. Mm-hmm. But they did their job very, very well.
Okay. All right. So that was the experience that resulted in your 2nd Silver Star. Mm-hmm. What about the 3rd Silver Star?
Which really surprised me. We were outside of Saigon somewhere in a rice paddy, trying to assault a village, a wooded area. Mm-hmm. And I was just totally caught in the rice paddy. And battalion commander said, "Hey, I'm going to send in Charlie Company. Where should I put him?" Well, down here around 50 yards away was a very prominent dike, ran right up to the woods. I said, "Okay, put him on that dike and we'll be close enough where we can support each other, and then the two of us together, we can go on in and do great things.
Mm-hmm.
See, he said, okay. We kept trying to get in, still couldn't get in. I looked down, and there about 250, 300 meters away, I saw these helicopters going in. And I told the battalion commander, I said, what the hell is that? God damn it, I told you where to put them. Why didn't you put them where I told you to? Now you've got two companies up to their ears in alligators, and we can't support each other.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. About that time, the brigade commander called in. He said, Alpha 6, you just talk to me now. I said, what can I do for you? I said, love to have some artillery. So it did. We got into the wood line, did fine. Charlie Company never got out of the rice paddy, spent the night down there. And part of the reason is their M16s wouldn't work. Now, one thing I learned from the Vietnamese was that the M16 is an extremely sensitive weapon. You do not oil the M16. You keep it clean, 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 and no oil. So that was one thing I learned from them. So here in Alpha Company, I always had two half of 55-gallon drums full of kerosene. You take your weapon in, take it apart, clean it out in this kerosene, then take it, rinse it out in the other kerosene. Don't let any oil get anywhere near it, dry it off, put it together, and it functions like a dream. And I told John when he took Charlie Company that that's what he needed to do, but he didn't do it. And their weapons didn't work, and he spent the night in the rice paddy.
Mm-hmm.
That after I came home, after I chewed out the battalion commander, I thought, I was I was walking on thin ice. Anyway, when I came home, the guy who had been my second battalion commander, company commander down in Dominican Republic, ran into him and he said, "Hey Dick, congratulations on your Silver Star." I said, "What Silver Star?" And he said, "I just saw it in the Army Times. You've got another Silver Star." So I went to 3rd Army headquarters and said, "Hey, I'm told I have a Silver Star. Is that right?" The guy looked around and said, "Yeah, here it is, right here." I said, "Well, why didn't you send it to me?" "Well, we didn't know where you were." And that was sort of a neat thing, too. Right after I'd extended, my mother got a phone call from 3rd Army, and some captain said, "Are you the mother of Captain Richard Cole?" And she says, "Yes, I am." He said, "Ma'am, can you tell me where he is? We've been carrying him AWOL for a month." So she says, "I think you can find him in Vietnam." So I thought that was sort of neat.
Yeah.
So.
Well, at least you were still getting paid, right?
Oh yes, right. Yeah, still getting paid.
You would have found them had you stopped getting paid, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how would you classify your time overall in Vietnam for the first tour?
Oh, it was very exciting, very educational, and I thought very worthwhile.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how much coordination did you do with the other company commanders? What was your relationship like with the other company commanders?
That's a good question. Very, very little. Because usually we were not in mutual support.
Mm-hmm.
And this one time when we should have been, well, we weren't. But very little direct interaction between companies.
Okay. All right. And when did you return to the States?
Okay. March of '67.
Okay. What was it like coming home?
It was good. It was fine. I was taught ROTC up in North Georgia.
Okay. So you returned to North Georgia.
To teach ROTC, which was co-ed, and met this young gal who was teaching girls phys ed up there. We met in March and got married on the 3rd of September, and that's been 50 years ago. And incidentally came up to West Point on our honeymoon, had to go to Niagara Falls. So
Okay, so you stopped by West Point.
yeah.
Okay. Now, you were telling me a little bit about her already, that she was deployed to the Philippines
Yeah.
with the Peace Corps, right?
Right, when I was in Vietnam.
Okay, tell me a little bit about what she had done.
She said she was primarily teaching Filipino teachers English as a second language, whatever that. I don't. Not, but I says okay, fine.
Okay. And what's her name?
Her name is Barbara, B-A-R-B-A-R-A, Barbara Dab Cole. Raised on a chicken farm up in North Carolina.
Okay. So you had a lot in common.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. And how were things at North Georgia?
Oh, they were great. They were great, and really liked the cadets, and taught military history, map reading, and squad tactics, all of which I really enjoy, and was the faculty advisor for our little Order of Colombo mountain platoon. Now, this is probably way before your time, but there was a Korean, World War II and Korean War veteran, Sergeant Colombo at the Mountain Ranger Camp when I was going to school. In fact, he was still there when I came back. Well, got these gung-ho student cadets and formed a little Order of Colombo mountain platoon. We would go doing patrols up in the mountains and taught them rappelling, and also taught Barbara rappelling. And so for Parents' Day there at the college, always had the Order of Colombo mountain platoon do rappelling off the science building, part of the show.
Right.
So we were practicing one day, and she showed up. Said, "Okay, I'm ready." I said, "Okay, I'll go down and belay you. Get cadet so-and-so to make sure you're hooked up right." Well, she said, "Okay," and did. Got on the edge of the thing and shouted out, "On rappel!" And here she came, hit the wall about twice, landed perfectly. And I hear this little cadet behind me says, "My God, a whole family of Rangers."
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So now how did, when you were working with the cadets, how did you share your knowledge from Vietnam with the cadets?
In military history, I did some. I really did not like the standard military history textbook. So I made all my presentations using Esposito's military history
Right.
book and my own personal experience, and as it seemed to be appropriate for the
Sure.
class.
I imagine the cadets really got a lot out of that.
They did. They really did.
Okay.
They did. Once in a while you'd see one snore, but when you bounce a piece of chalk off his head, he wakes up.
Sure. Now, how close were you to your folks?
They were still in Marietta, so we were about, I don't know, 80 or 90 miles, something like that.
Okay, so close enough where you could get to them. And
Right.
all right. So did you manage to get home quite a bit while you were there?
A good bit, yeah.
Okay. Then after teaching in ROTC, is this about the time that you headed back to Vietnam for your second tour? I guess your third tour, probably.
No, let me see. From ROTC, we went to Infantry Advanced Course at Fort Benning, and then went to Georgia Tech for my master's, and then went back to Vietnam.
Okay. What'd you get a master's in?
Operations research.
Okay.
And people say, what is that? And say, beats the hell out of me. But the utilization tour, after I came back from Vietnam, was at Fort Ord, California, during test and evaluation.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed that. That was good stuff.
All right. But we'll get to that after we talk about your second time in Vietnam, from 72 to 73.
Right.
And you were with MACV headquarters, correct?
Yes, I was with MACV. Started off with, I started off with STDAT, STDAT 158, which was what was left of MACSOG. MACSOG had gone, but this Strategic Technical Directorate and Assistance Team was what was left of it.
Okay.
And had this little compound up country, and we would do a little patrolling and stuff, but nothing big. And then as we pulled down, then I had to come down to Saigon until they finally said, the war's over, you got to come home.
Okay. So you were there at the very end. Okay. How were things changing as that last tour progressed?
It seemed like that, yes, okay, nobody had given up. The bad guys had not given up, but they were not near as aggressive as they were, and it looked like everybody was just biding their time, would be, I guess, the best way to try to describe it.
Did you still have any contacts with the Vietnamese that you served with in '65?
No. This little detachment commander that I was with at the last, right before we pulled out, I said, okay, I hate to see you leave. And I said, well, Trung Ta, I hate to leave too, you know. I said, yes, well, you know, about 6 months after the Americans leave, you know, my family and I will be dead. And I don't know if that happened or not. It very well may have. I don't know. But,
What was the feeling like in the American headquarters as everything was shutting down?
I think most of us were regretting it. I think, though, a lot of them were saying, hey, finally, I'm going home. This is over. Forget it. But it's hard to say.
Right. Now, did your wife remain in North Georgia? Or what did she do while you were gone?
She found out that the Army would send the family of a deploying soldier anywhere in the United States. So she decided Hawaii is part of the United States. So she had the Army pack us up ship us out to Hawaii, and that's where she waited while
Okay.
I went to Vietnam.
So she spent a nice year in Hawaii. And all right. And when you returned from your second tour, I guess it was technically your third tour, right?
Well, the first tour was a tour and a half, and then the second tour was almost a year.
Okay. Is that when you went to Fort Ord?
Yes, right.
And so tell me what you were doing at Fort Ord.
General Depew was the TRADOC commander and was a strong, strong believer in suppression. And he rightly said, you don't have to kill them, all you got to do is suppress them. So I was a infantry rep, and what one of my jobs was to go to the infantry school and try to solicit work for them. So I went in and met this little captain, and he said, yes, what we want to do, we want to know what should the dispersion pattern be for the M16 rifle. And I says, you want to know how inaccurate this M16 rifle is? He said, well, I guess so. I said, well, that's horse hockey, but let me think about it a little bit, and I'll get back with you. So I did. So to make it bottom line short, said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to dig 8-foot foxholes, put soldiers in them with periscopes, and they'll be attacked live rounds by soldiers coming up. Now, you guys in the foxholes, you can talk, and we'll get you on the radio. If you're up high enough so you can see and report, well, that's good. If you can push it up higher and fire your gunfire simulator, that's even better. But if your silhouette gets hit, that's an all shit, and you're out. So they said, okay, so they got sort of the idea, okay. Bottom line, what we found out was by far the best way is for the M16, not semi-automatic, definitely not automatic, but 3-round burst. And that's where the 3-round burst came from. And so far as I know, it's still there. Because a 3-round burst is accurate, most suppressive. After 3 rounds, other rounds are up in the sky and totally ineffective.
Okay. Well, that's neat, talking about the development of that. That's
yeah, I'm proud of that.
So what started out as a crazy question ended up with a real good answer.
Yeah, I think so.
How about that?
How about that? Yeah.
All right.
Even Depew said he liked it. He said, yeah, these Parfox experiments are good.
Okay. What other projects did you work on while you were at Fort Ord?
I think that was the only one.
Okay. And then after that, is that about the time you were the battalion commander?
Well, from there, we went to the Naval War College for the Command and General Staff, Navy equivalent of Command and General Staff. And then from there, we went to Germany.
Okay. And you commanded 113 Infantry?
Right.
Okay. And what was that like?
Oh, that was fantastic. That was wonderful. It was in Baumholder, Germany. Great big training area. And in Germany at that time, units were having trouble getting to training areas because, you know, requirements here, requirements there, and this training area is not available and stuff. But when you're right on the training area itself, when it's vacant, you just pack your troops up and head out. And that was great.
Okay.
It was really good. And neat thing, had to go to language school for 6 months of German so I could communicate with my partner battalion.
Right.
Well, Baumholder is right on the French border. Come to find out when I got there that my partner battalion was a French regiment. I could not speak one word of French.
Okay. Did the commander speak English?
Very, very little. He could speak more than he did.
Okay.
Because the French are they're pretty arrogant. They don't want to. They don't want to speak your language. I want you to speak my language.
Okay.
So, but he was a neat guy.
Yeah.
Colonel David was super, and his wife was also.
All right. How were your soldiers in Germany?
Very, very good. Enthusiastic. They enjoyed the fact that we could do more field training than most anybody else. And I think troops like field training.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Did you have any trouble with drugs or discipline or anything like that?
not that I was aware of.
Okay.
None of it ever reached me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we had some, but
Sure.
it took care of it.
How were your company commanders?
Very, very good. Oh boy. Now, I can't remember their names.
Right. I am catching you off guard here.
Yeah, okay, but
So,
they, their names ought to be right at the tip of my tongue, and
Sure.
they will be after I leave, and then
yeah, exactly.
mm-hmm.
And so, what'd your family think of Germany?
Oh, they loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How were the German people?
Excellent. We loved them too.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one thing Barbara did while we were there is she got us a set of little wine glasses, a green stem, sort of a bowl type with grapevines around the edge of it. She's down to one.
Oh, yes?
So in September, I think it is, we're going to take a river cruise from Amsterdam to, I think, Prague, something like that. And one of the purposes is to get her more glasses.
Okay. That's wonderful.
So we think a river cruise ought to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you got back from Germany, what did you do to round out your career?
Got back to Germany. Let me see. Oh, went to the Army War College,
Mm-hmm.
and then to the Pentagon.
Okay. And how was that assignment?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I was in war plans,
Mm-hmm.
and that was good. And then got promoted and went to Office of Secretary of Defense,
Mm-hmm.
and for research, development, and engineering, and with other countries. My countries were the Far East, and worked with Japan a lot on trying to share secrets without giving secrets away,
Sure.
and enjoyed that. That was good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you retire?
1985.
Okay. What have you done since retiring?
Oh, I was a Beltway bandit
Mm-hmm.
for, I don't know, damn near 20 years, I guess. And that was working on with supporting the Joint Chief of Staff exercise program. And what we would do is we would write scenarios, doomsday scenarios, that, okay, the nuclear exchange has happened, this is what's destroyed, this is what's still functional.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see what you can do with what you've got.
Okay.
And that was sort of neat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're retired for good.
Totally, yes, right.
And enjoying life in North Carolina.
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So as you look back on your career,
Mm-hmm.
what does West Point mean to you?
It gave me the base. It gave me the motivation, I think. But it gave me, this is truth, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what you operate from. And I guess that's motivation.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sir, I'm so glad you came in today to talk with us and share your experiences with us. This has been
Thank you.
absolutely wonderful hearing your stories.
Well, good. I hope I hadn't bored you.
Not at all, sir.
I've enjoyed it a bunch.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.